And this Sunday edition of the D2L Western Challenge continues to roll on. It's an EG doubleheader, and they got it off to a good start the right way with a 2-1 victory over Fnatic in our first series of the day. Now they face yet another North American challenge, and well, and it's one we see quite often, if we're to be honest. Over the last week or two, we've seen these two teams square off quite frequently. They're going to be taking on Team Liquid. Now, EG is looking good against TL across the board, and of course, TL once again today employing the EG Slayer in Dota Demon, but we'll get back to that in just a moment. Just to recap where EG sits, the record 1-0, that's actually improved to 2-0 after their win over Fnatic, so they're in great position as they're just about a quarter of the way, not quite that, just about a third actually, through their D2L Western Challenge schedule. This will be their third series of 7, so already off to a great start. They've got PPD, of course, the hard support, who's the leader of the team, the captain. Universe in the offlane has really been the difference maker in the vast majority of games we've seen recently. RTC went absolute ham on the Shadow Fiend in our final game of our first series, had 94 CS at 11 minutes in, and yeah, if you haven't had a chance, go check the VOD. That was ridiculous. Zai, of course, the support player, and the carry Fear will be out once again. I actually misspoke. I remember Fear tweeted that he was going to be back in action, not quite as early as this weekend, though. I thought he had said this weekend. It's going to be the 10th that he'll be rejoining as their carry. And for right now, still nursing that busted wing, it will once again be Mason standing in, who has just been phenomenal for EG thus far. On the side of Team Liquid, obviously they're still recovering a bit from their roster shakeup, but have been showing real strides in terms of improving their play and their communication. And everyone you talk to, whether they win or lose, they just pass the eyeball test, man. They are beginning to gel once again, especially with Demon standing in for them as often as he has been lately. They've got Quakeva, one of the up-and-coming star players, at least in terms of age and skill. He's still such a young man and so ridiculously skilled, and has really continued to be a major catalyst for what success Team Liquid has been able to find so far. Then you've got Bulba, of course, as experienced as any player you're ever going to meet at any point. In professional Dota, he's in mid/offlane, and that's kind of a dynamic that Team Liquid has going for them. He and Quakeva oftentimes switch up what they do and where they do it. They're just basically solo lane heroes, and sometimes they'll take turns on who's offlane, who's mid, and so on. Does give them a little bit of added flexibility. Way Too Sexy calls the shots. He's on support as well in the captain's role, with TC, the experienced carry player, doing what he can to continue to be yet another rock of experience alongside of Bulba in terms of out-and-out leadership. Then, of course, the vacant slot, which is yet to be filled permanently, is filled most of the time by Demon, and he will once again be standing in today. They're 0-2. They desperately need a win, lest they fall into that 0-3 hole, which means they would have to win out to have any real chance to make a playoff run. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers. Once again, I'll be joined by Tralf Dota. I'm here coming out of our San Francisco studio. Hope you guys like the looks of it. It's certainly an improvement over where we've been before, but the Dota still as good as it's ever been here on the D2L. We'll be right back as the draft is underway. Team Liquid versus EG coming up next. And as you can see, wasn't lying to you. Draft already is underway. We will see a Shadow Fiend once again, and EG said hell with it. We're going to first pick it. They had enough success with it in Game 3 of our first series. Can't hardly blame them. While Team Liquid snags the Nyx Assassin and the Ancient Apparition. Help break down the draft to give you the insight and analysis throughout the entire series, not just this series, not just a few series, but the entire D2L Western Challenge. Welcome in once again, Tralf Dota. Tralf, my friend, EG looked so ridiculously good in Games 2 and 3 against Fnatic. It's hard to imagine slowing them down, even if you are Team Liquid, who's had as many looks at them as any team in the West you can imagine.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, they have. And honestly, they haven't been too successful, so hopefully they're able to turn something around. It could start here, as you mentioned last game. When are people going to start respect banning that tree against Evil Geniuses? And right off the bat, TC bans it out first. So that might be a start. Obviously, you know, EG has a lot of tricks up their sleeve, and Shadow Fiend is picked up first for them. I wonder if this has to do with PPD deciding to select Radiant over first pick or second pick or whatever. He decided to choose Radiant over Dire or the pick. And maybe that has to do with Shadow Fiend, because Shadow Fiend does work so well on Radiant specifically. If especially your teammates can stack for you and whatnot. I'm very curious. I wonder if Team Liquid is going to pick up Invoker here soon, because I know that EG bans it out a lot, specifically against Team Liquid, and I know that Invoker is a hero that actually gives a lot of trouble to RTZ mid, especially with the buffs to the Quas Wex. And I'm very surprised it hasn't been banned out by AG, and I'm very surprised it hasn't been picked up already by Team Liquid. So maybe we'll see it in the next 2.
Yeah, and when you look at the bans and everything else, well, before we get into that, just want to build on something you had mentioned. And this is the kind of thing you don't really see unless you're behind the scenes, but it was kind of a surprise, to be honest. And I think you're dead on the money in planning to pick the Shadow Fiend right out the gate in a selection of Radiant. Because in our first series, the rules are home team in cases of server differentials. If the home team gets server advantage, the other team gets to pick second pick, first pick, or side. Yeah. And then whenever it's like this, when we're going to be playing on the same server the whole time, then the home team actually gets the chance to pick first pick, second pick, and side as well. In our first series, games 1, 2, and 3, PPD every time, even when they had the chance to pick initially, did not opt for first pick. He always took Dire. And then this time it was, and it wasn't like he had to think about it. It was as soon as he was asked, he went straight Dire. And then this time he said, hang on, I got to think about it. And after a minute or two, came back and said, we want Radiant. So I think you're 100% on the money. This is a pre-med build coming out of the draft for EG. But I really like what Liquid has together with the Nyx Assassin and Ancient Apparition. I love watching those two heroes work in conjunction with each other no matter how you end up running the Nyx. I mean, obviously, he can play support, he can play off lane, he can play mid if you want him to. Having that extra burst that just helps shatter heroes early on off of a level 6 Ice Blast is excellent. And that Invoker pickup, as you predicted, comes out in that last position. On the side of EG, going to have the Wraith King and the Dazzle. That's always fun. You tend to see some push lineups come out of that. Shadow Fiend farming out of mid. One would imagine that'll be a Centaur War Runner that'll be running out in the off lane, probably handled by Universe, but time will tell.
Yeah, and EG drafts themselves these situations where they could go either way as far as going aggro with the off lane hero, or just doing something standard into the safe lane. So, for example, right now you have Centaur and you're thinking off lane Centaur, Dazzle plus Wraith King as a support. They always run this as a support for something top for like. Bottom. Sometimes I always screw that up. I think the bottom Evil Geniuses thing is Dire, but whatever. But yeah, that's the versatility of their draft, because they can go either aggro or safe. Probably safe, because it is safe. And it'll be fun to watch Wraith King play as support. This is, I feel like, the only way you can run him.
And looks like Tralf, unfortunately, continues to have some connection issues. They plagued him all day. We are remoting him in from the sunny shores. Actually, I have no idea what the weather is there, but from South Korea. So hopefully we'll have him back in just a minute to continue to give us his insight into this draft. But this is a very Liquid-esque kind of a lineup. It's easy to see how it's going to execute, but they are lacking in sustained damage pretty heavily right now. I mean, having Ancient Apparition's ulti kind of makes that not so much a problem whenever you're talking about pure burst potential, especially on a Nyx Assassin with his Vendetta and the Mana Burn combination. Impale gives them a fair amount of lockdown, and especially once a mobility item comes up. But Nyx plus Bane is actually very, very lethal in combination with Ice Blast, just because of the strength of Brain Sap plus Vendetta. It's pure damage coming out from the Bane's Brain Sap, obviously, then the physical damage from Nyx. So that, even in combination with Cold Snap, I mean, there's a lot of ways they can engage this AoE-wise. If it is a Quas Wex Invoker build, you'll see Tornado EMP play a very, very big role. But on the side of EG, they just have a lot of sustainability in terms of damage output with the Centaur and the Shadow Fiend just by themselves. Dazzle certainly helps out a ton in terms of upping armor that'll help against the Vendetta. I hear my good friend Tralf is back, so I'll finish my thought and let you get the more in-depth stuff. But yeah, like what I was saying is Team Liquid is lacking a bit in sustainability in terms of damage output. They have great combinations with the AA, but EG, just between the Shadow Fiend and the Centaur alone, is going to have an excellent amount of sustain just because of how quick the cooldowns are on Stomp and Double Edge, and Shadow Fiend certainly with his pure right click, which just gets out of hand if he's given any kind of a good start, as we saw put into very, very stark relief in game number 3 of our first series. But he also has raises that are easy to spam out, not just the farm, but certainly to do a lot of damage in these team fights.
Yeah, and I don't know where I cut off, but I was talking about Wraith King as a
support,
as a 4 here. Yeah. And I don't really like it too much as a core. But anyway, as far as looking at the drafts right now against each other, I actually like Team Liquid's better, to be honest. Yeah, and part of the reason too is, oh man, this actually might be a core Wraith King.
Yep, that will be.
I don't know. Maybe they'll make me look stupid or something. But I just feel like there's so many better options, like 9 times out of 10. So I don't know. We'll see. Also, because you're going up against an Invoker, almost always is going to be Quas Wex, just because it's just so much better right now, unless you have special circumstances. And so that mana burn is obviously from the EMP is going to be pretty big against Wraith King. Not to mention the tornado is just so good about stopping initiation, namely from Stampede coming out from Centaur, and also with the Nyx Assassin, it's very easy to carapace a Wraith King stun.
Yeah,
and it's for that reason among many that I don't feel like the hero is that great of a pick here. Again, I might look stupid in 20 minutes if EG comes out and just guns blazing and just starts owning, but I actually really like Team Liquid's draft so far a bit better, and we'll have to see what they pick up last. But yeah, it'll be fun to watch at least.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of coming around to your way of thinking now that I see it will be a farming Wraith King, but it all comes down to the build, and I think you make an excellent point. The Luna pickup there is not surprising at all. When you looked at the carry heroes that were available for TC, there was only a couple that he was really going to really have access to, just because of how good he is on certain heroes compared to the rest of the pool. So the Luna pick makes a ton of sense. It does help them immensely with what I was talking about, shoring up some of that lack of sustained damage. She is a hero who will rush a BKB, and that'll help quite a lot against heroes like Shadow Fiend, like Crystal Maiden, etc., that are so reliant. Well, not just Shadow Fiend obviously gets very right-click-ish as the game goes on, but it's really his ulti and the raises that are such a big threat early on.
Never mind, it's not going to be a one-position Wraith King. It's going to be Mason playing the one-position Dazzle. So
that's
okay.
Fun.
Now it's a little bit different. Things changed a tiny bit, but yeah, I just don't think one position has too much of a place right now in the metagame. Yeah. I know other people will disagree with me, but I think this is actually a little bit better. So yeah, I mean, no, actually we have a disconnect from Demon. I know he had trouble loading in the first time. Hopefully everything's okay. As far as now with that new information, maybe it will be an offensive Charlie. I'm not sure, but it's going to be a fun game. I mean, I like these heroes. I still like Liquid's draft a bit better. I think they have a lot of things to stop an engagement from EG until they get maybe a blink on Centaur. I feel like that's going to be the opening of aggression for EG.
Right.
But until that point, if they're able to shut down Centaur heavily, which if they do just an off-lane Centaur, I think they're going to be able to.
Yeah, I like the Luna pick again. It shores things up. One thing that Liquid had that I really, really liked was a lot of things were going to work very effectively with AA. Something that you mentioned that I think you're dead on the money with is how important EMP is going to be out of Koikva. And again, we got to see what build he wants to go. When you have an Ancient Apparition on your side, it's not a huge surprise to see hybrid builds come out from the Invoker just for the power of Sunstrike and being able to get picks across the map. I mean, you can't underestimate. It's fun as a caster. They get you excited. You see them. But they do make a huge difference because you pick off a hero, suddenly they're down, and you can just push in places where normally you wouldn't feel confident doing so just because even if they rotate everyone, they're still rotating into a 5-on-4. And this is the kind of game where that's a possibility. But also the EMP, as you had said, with the Wraith King, depending on how much they're really going to prioritize making sure his ult is a big part of these fights, this might even be a game where Zai would consider getting something like a Soul Ring, just to guarantee that even if he is EMP'd, he'll always have the mana necessary for his ulti.
Yeah, no, I think Soul Ring on support Wraith King is actually very good. Even non-support Wraith King is quite a good item for him. It fits him nicely. But I'm very interested to see how much help Arteezy gets mid. And I think he was going to need it because I don't know the specific stats, but just from my mental notes, I feel like he doesn't do well against Invoker, which is why I see EG ban out Invoker a lot, especially in the first two picks, first two bans. That's why I was surprised to see Invoker make it all the way that he did to the last pick in the second phase for Liquid. So if he gets a lot of help in mid, I think he'll be fine. Obviously, if they do go safe lane with this trialing for EG, they're gonna stack a lot for him. I guarantee it. Yeah, I know there's some crazy stuff happening, But yeah, it really comes down to how much help he gets mid, how much they stack the jungle, because I feel like Invoker's going to have his number. I really do.
You can tell these guys are friends. And sorry, Diamond, says Arteezy. By the way,
Demon.
The Ancient Apparition is giving everybody a hug. If you notice, he loaded in and, got his big arms open and ready. Oh, no, can't click on him. I'm still
with arms wide open.
There you go. Break out the song. See, that's what you get here on the D2L Western Challenge. Not only do you get a show, but you get a song or two.
When my voice is fully healed, I'll bust out the opera.
I want to hear it, man. I want to hear it. I can't sing for it. I'm awful. Just truly, truly awful. I try like hell. I do. But
that's the important thing. You'll always get better if you practice.
No. Well, I didn't say I practice. I said I try.
Okay, there you go.
Big difference. It just means I make up for skill and you know, and ability with effort, with volume. That's how I work. It's
yeah, just keep pushing. It'll sound good.
Exactly. All right. Dota underway. Counting down about 45 seconds to the creeps. And Liquid ready to set the tone here in the jungle. Looks like EG not going to be caught unawares. Ward's already going down. That's a good one. Keep an eye on what's going here and getting one up on this camp as well. So doing what they can to make sure they exert as much control as possible over that Radiant side jungle. PPD's already tucked up under the tier 2 mid. Arteezy, no surprise to see him mid. Zai is on our Wraith King. He will be running the support, as we can see. He picked up a sentry. And Mason will 100% be farming this Dazzle. Now, farming one position Dazzle is not something you see super duper often, but it can be a hell of a lot of fun. I mean, mid Dazzle is something I've caught a few times. I really don't know that I've ever casted a true one position Dazzle.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I gotta stop you though. Like right now, this is pretty big because I actually missed the ward that was placed. I was actually gonna say I know a lot of teams will place 2 wards at the main camp just to make sure it gets blocked, but they only placed 1, so I was like, oh, that might get countered. But no, Zai didn't find it. So, and he also wasted a tree, unfortunately. Not the biggest deal in the world, but that ward's gonna be down, and I'm sure he's reluctant to wait to using 2 because if he checks in the magic bush or secret, you know, like that's magic bush area, that's still not going to get it, and so he doesn't know for sure and doesn't want to waste it. It's a pretty big deal. Also, Demon blocked one of the hard camps, so it's going to stop the stacking a little bit from both PPD, and not to mention he can't jungle now, at least in that hard camp. He's going to have to move around. Not the biggest deal, but basically that's actually shutting down Arteezy, so that if they have a good time in mid, okay, I'm eating my words, it is an Exort Invoker. I really thought Quaswex would be better, but maybe it's because, like you said, to be able to have a bit of a global presence. And a good thing about that is you have better last hitting to start, and you get experience from your kills from Sunstrike. So
yep. Well, honestly, just 1 point into Exort at level 1 can be all right. Like sometimes you'll see this happen. You'll see 1 or 2 points into Exort, then a pure Quaswex coming out of that. And it's all right. I mean, it's just for your own purposes. It depends, like you said, on whether they want to prioritize that extra bit of damage or if this is mainly just to help him out against Arteezy. Arteezy's going to be able to farm come hell or high water just because of Shadow Rays. He already has his bottle up, so mana shouldn't be a problem for that. But Koikva, even with just 1 point into Exort, helps his base damage out so very much and allows him to try to deny, try to last hit, and get his own farm going. So we'll see how they end up playing this out. We can see Zai is now joined by PPD. He's going to be doing his own jungling here on the Crystal Maiden. And the Crystal Maiden on EG also is worth mentioning. Is going to end up helping out Arteezy immensely in terms of mana sustainability in lane, just pushing lanes and farming the neutrals. But this neutral camp, we can already see, has been stacked at least once. Yeah, it looks like PPD did stack it, already bringing down the 1 big Centaur.
And Zai, he actually did go for it, and he did find the ward, so that's a pretty big win. Or I should say it's a pretty small victory, but it still might actually help him a lot coming out of the laning phase. Just getting on that extra farm, getting the pulls to, you know, control the lane. Look at Zai, if you see him down here, he's faked out this Wraith Fire Blast like 7 times. But like I said, it's very difficult, unless Bulba screws up and has bad lag. It's very difficult to get slow projectile stuns like that off onto a Nyx.
I just can't imagine he's all that worried about dying here, even if he is caught and even if he does bone the Carapace. I mean, you've got 2 points into Poison Touch and 2 into Shadow Wave. So, I mean, there is some damage potential there and the ability to harass him out, but I just don't think Bulba's going to care. He's not going to put himself in a position where he's too far forward. He's a little too experienced in the off-lane position. We're going to see a haste picked up by Demon. He's got about 3/4 time on it, and he got it under cover of smoke, too. Arteezy's going to be a hell of a target to try and go on here. Koikva did put his 2nd point into Exort, so at least for the moment, a pure Quas Exort build coming out of him. So Cold Snap will be available if they want to try and take a run at it. He's heading up along the ridge line, and he does have 1 point into Cold Feet and 1 into Chilling Touch, but the wave shoved out by Arteezy. He's quite far forward, but I think he feels pretty safe.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he stays up here to like race this. No, he's backing. He's keeping his good distance, so. Unfortunately, Demon's wasting a bit of time. No, they're still going for it. Here we go. No, Arteezy's just so fat. Like, there's really good reactions.
Yep, his boots there as well. Yep, and there's the Cold Feet. Not going to proc. Arteezy, though, came way too far forward. Not sure what the thinking was there. Maybe underestimating it. He's going to be forced out of lane quite a bit here. I'm surprised Koik was actually pursuing him this far. Was probably looking. I mean, he had to know he had a bottle, and as soon as he got out of vision, he was going to be able to bottle up a fair amount of his health. So, missing a little bit of extra time he could have had in lane, but they are zoning him out. He's going to have to take all the way the long road around. So, decent rotation by Demon, but he will be making his way back up to lane now.
Yeah, no, that was actually really good by Koikfa because he maybe could have tried to go for the Sunstrike, but Arteezy was dodging a lot and trying to juke it. So, oh, he actually went for the race right there instead of the siege creep. Kind of unfortunate, but they're shutting down Arteezy's CS a little bit, and I think that's what matters. Even though Koikfa's only got 3 more, I think as long as you don't let SF shadow or
Koikfa's in trouble. No point in the Wex either. Means no QQ walk, and that means first blood going the way of EG. Bit of damage done to Arteezy, but he's going to be plenty all right. And that's the other downside of going with the Quasik Zord build. Lacking a single point in Wex. You have to figure, I mean, it's 4 minutes in. It's the most common gank timing in all of Dota, especially coming out of the Radiant side. And, yeah, not a point in the Wex, no way to Ghost Walk, and down he goes.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking at Wraith King or his positioning, and maybe they used a smoke. Yeah, Peter actually, he had a smoke on him, so I suspect that's what they did.
Yep, they were smoked.
So, yeah, good gank from EG. It was very, very needed, and that's what we talk about as far as helping Shadow Fiend and helping Arteezy mid. Every little bit counts, and now that the sentry, as far as blocking that hard camp, is expired, Quick would take a little bit of damage, but now that it's expired, they can start stacking that and just, you know, steroiding his farm, so to speak.
And up at top, we can see TC is finding good amounts of farm. He's at 33 CS to the 30 now of the one-position Dazzle. Now, talk to me a bit about this one-position Dazzle. It's a bit of a rarity. What kind of build do you think he's going to go with?
Well, there's 2 ideas with this. One, you can like go to a team fighting style of Dazzle where you buy things like Force Staff, Mech, just to keep your team alive. Because the idea is you have so much farm that if you can get these early fight items, and you just start taking fights, 5-manning, and then there's nothing the other team can do. Or you can run the actual carry build where you go something like Treads Deso, something like that. I haven't seen too much of Mason play this, so I don't know what he's going to go. It's really up in the air, but I imagine he'll go for more of a hard carry build.
Sunstrike after the Nightmare, and Universe dove behind his own tier 1. Well executed by Team Liquid as they find their way onto the board and manage to get a kill on the Centaur. And they were wanting to take a run at Arteezy, but just not feeling confident about it. Arteezy's instincts in mid and just knowing up against this kind of roaming potential, where he has to play, when he can play forward, when he can't. Just not a very appetizing target, or at least not a very reliable target. But instead, they take the next best thing, which is the Centaur, who, as you mentioned, in his Blink Dagger timing is going to be huge in terms of what they can execute. Zai's got eyes on everyone here, and he is going to be soaking up some levels. The tower itself is in trouble. They have a glyph. If they want to spend it, they will. And that might be enough to force them back. TP's coming in while a run-up from Universe from the well is there as well. That leaves Mason alone one-on-one versus Bulba, but he's been doing quite okay in that situation.
Yeah, Bulba just dings his level 6 right there, and so now he's got Vendetta, and he's doing a bit better than Centaur top. He's got 11 last hits under his belt, which is pretty darn good against this lane. It's very difficult as a melee to go up against a Dazzle, because anytime you try to come up to those creeps, there's potential there to bomb the creeps with the healing wave. So yeah, good for Bulba. Hopefully he can start getting some rotations now, and specifically in mid, which means EG is going to want to put a sentry down in mid ASAP, because it's very easy. Oh, I keep forgetting that he's not Quas Wex. I was going to say it's very easy to initiate with a Tornado, but it's still somewhat easy with the Cold Snap into, you know, Vendetta from Bulba.
Zai spots way too. There's the lead off with the Hellfire Blast, Stomp to follow, and Double Edge plus a little bit of Frost Nova. All you need, and that's going to make it 2-1. And right now, the movement of Team Liquid really just doesn't feel all that effective. They moved well and ganked on Universe, but even that was a bit hesitant. And even that, I mean, it was easy to do. But like right there, I'm not sure. He was moving in the darkness in the middle of the night, and that was just kind of a giveaway kill.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see the parts leading up to it, but look at on point. They know Bulba's 6, Sentry's coming out for PPD, and he should be placing them mid, so Bulba, he hits level 7. I guess his idea is like, I'm still getting, oh no, they're going to kill bottom. Here comes a way too sexy on the Bane, so no wards. Mason's got to be really careful. He's going to make a misstep and die, and as you see, he's sitting at his tower, so
yep,
he knows something's up.
Very well aware of the kill potential that exists right now, and he's not even at his tower. He knows he's a target.
This is so obvious, by the way. Why would Bane come bottom and just start farming this?
Yep. Bulba's going to have eyes on Zai and Arteezy here in the jungle. He's undercover of Vendetta. Universe is right there. This is a bad time to engage. Might be a good time on Arteezy, but he's got that sentry. He's going to spot it coming. Let's see how they react. DD caught him with the impale. Sunstrike's going to secure 1 kill and no reprisal. EG unable to get there in time. So well executed. That's exactly what they need.
Yeah, well done. I was going to say if Bulba stayed bottom to try to kill, then it would be very obvious. But that actually worked out well because they're like, oh, they're expecting us to gank bottom because of where Mason's standing. Here we go, Universe. With the smoke, comes around bottom.
Stampede, and right into an Eclipse, and he's got to get the hell out of dodge. PPD and him both. But Zai, leading off with the Hellfire Blast. TC's going to get one kill. Not sure why PPD was there. That was kind of goofy, to be totally honest. And can he get the kill? Good body block from Demons, preventing at least... Nope, never mind, not enough. Thought it was going to be one right-click short. Demon has no mana to spend, but does have some right-click, and a lot of creeps are right on Zai as well. He's moving into the jungle. Impales there. Sunstrike not even necessary. So Liquid gets a good exchange. They did lose their Luna, but managed to bring down a couple in the meantime. And I have no idea why Peter hung around there. He had to know he was going to get loose and beamed.
That was pretty stupid, for lack of a better word, but... yeah, very nice turnaround there for TC, and even if he didn't get kills there, if anything, it kind of stopped the aggression and possible kill from EG. So yeah, good little pickup there of kills for TC. Actually, he only got one of them, unfortunately, but I'm sure he's happy with that. This little bit of stacking coming out from Koikfa. He has his Midas up now as well, so not doing too bad. Where's our TC sitting at 60 CS? He's got his Midas as well too. So
just want to point out again, right about this time in Game 3, RTZ literally had about 90 CS. Like, no joke. That's where he was in Game 3 of our first series. So, at least in comparison to Fnatic, Liquid's doing a better job of hemming him in a little bit. It's a Midas pickup on Mason, and we didn't really point that out, but it's been out for a few minutes now. So he is. Yep. Too far forward, Hellfire Blast. PPD drops down the sentry just in case Bulba was going to try to get cute. Here comes Yay ultimate. And should catch at least one. Yep, trying to target down Mason, but Mason's kind of a weird target for that because he's going to be able to grave himself if he really thinks he's going to get hit.
Yeah, I don't understand what Wei2 was doing. He walked into the lane. First of all, he doesn't know if they have wards there or not because he didn't place a sentry. And then he runs in with vision into the side of that jungle there and then walks back. It was just kind of a very curious path for him. Oh, here we go.
Good impale. Oh, I thought he caught... Peter there. PPD still alive. Mason, good grave on himself. Going to TP right away in their face. There's the Nightmare, though. Good play by the Bane that time. As Wei2 redeeming himself some. That allows them to get 2 good kills on Mason and PPD both. And this is where Crystal Maiden can be a bit of a liability. She's an excellent hero in between 1 and 6 in particular. But now, even though she's been roaming, she's been fairly effective. She's died a couple of times. And at 1 and 2, she could start to feel a little sluggish and start to feel a little bit like dead weight. Not saying that's necessarily going to be the case, but when you look at the way he's built her, he's also maxed his Nova, which is fine, but even the Aura is not going to be all that effective in helping his team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Aura's still pretty good, but you can't be feeding kills like this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that one was kind of necessary, I suppose, but the top one wasn't. TC, he's almost got a BKB, actually. I really like this. I don't think that this is a game for greediness coming out from the carry for Liquid. AA ulti is not going to hit. He cast it pretty close, so the AoE was very small. But yeah, I really like the BKB pickup here early from TC. It's going to allow them to fight in fights very early on. And you know that the aggression coming out from EG is going to be there with his Centaur pickup. And he's actually got his blink in, about 1,000 gold. So unfortunately not the best timing. Here comes Bulba, though, top. He just Vendetta.
Moving in, trying to find an opening, and Universe not liking the idea of being that far forward in night. Pulls back just in time, and I don't think they had a ward. No, they didn't. No way to see it, just good instincts on the side of Universe. Just to build on what you were saying about the value of that BKB, though. Like, when you look at the Dazzle in particular, who is in the 1 position, has picked up a buckler, so we'll be going with that farm a quick mech kind of a situation where kind of, that's kind of how you see Windrunner played whenever she's in a 1 or a 2, is very often you'll just see her rush up 4-staff mech, that kind of thing. And then you just try to fight off of that, make space for your heavy farmer, which of course will be Arteezy, who's got an Ogre Club up on the way to a BKB of his own. But the Wraith King, the Dazzle, and of course the Crystal Maiden, all very, very squishy for the most part, at least at this stage. I mean, Wraith King does have his second life, does have 1,200 HP, but the Dazzle and the Crystal Maiden in particular are susceptible to the early fight potential that comes out from a level 11 plus Luna with the level 2 ulti. So she's going to be able to just reliably come and fight, and that's a good decision, especially given TC does tend to prefer the Helm of the Dominator build. That's what you'll see him build most times on either Luna or Gyro, which are two of his more popular heroes that more commonly played heroes, I guess is the way to say it. So they're going to try to go ahead and put that to use already. As we can see, they're moving right over top of a sentry, but it doesn't matter. They're not going to be spotted as they move through. And PPD dead for sure. They got eyes on him. There's the elusive beam. Fiend's Grip might have been a little bit. Wow, that was a little overkill.
Yeah. Nice done.
Now if they had a Fiend's Grip, they'd be happy. But Arteezy, with that Invis rune and no detection, is going to be able to make it to safety. But yeah, a little bit of extra forethought, an extra sentry or so, and they might have been able to kill him off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess without the Fiend's Grip, they would have had to just use the stun out of Vendetta and not get the Vendetta damage, but clearly they had enough resources to kill him without the Vendetta damage. Oh, Arteezy, big ulti on the Koik, but not going to do too much damage in the Force Staff away, so a little unfortunate. Bulba, can he hit this stun? He has a blink already.
And follow-up, big burst. There's the AA ultimate coming out. Will not get there in time. Sentry went down. Good blink stun, as you said. Bulba showing off the dagger for the first time. They came very close to getting that kill with the help of the Sunstrike, but the ultimate from Demon a little wide, didn't accurately predict his retreat path. So EG dodges one there. Nonetheless, Liquid is doubling them up and looking damn good. However, the gold graph tells us the scoreboard doesn't matter nearly as much. The efficiency of EG has just been better. We're dead even in gold, and the experience only marginal a lead for Liquid right now. And with the death of that tower, that's going to be a lead for EG.
Yeah, Mech coming out for Dazzle, Blink coming out for Centaur, so EG's getting some huge item pickups. It's really unfortunate TC got his BKB right then, because if he got it like 20 seconds earlier, they would have for sure fought that in mid without the Centaur Blink, which is going to be, a huge item for EG. And obviously BKB is good on Luna, but if you could have taken that fight earlier, just a hair earlier, especially in the tower mid, which is the most important tower, it could have been big, but they might still get a good opening here.
Bulba has been the standout. There's going to be Zai cut by the Fiend's Grip. Mana Burn not going to spend anything else as they simply don't need it. Weave goes down, but they're going to be slowed off of this. Let's see if they want to re-engage. They're all grouped up. TC pops the BKB, freshly completed. Zai trying to juke around the trees and just going to eat all the damage and make space for his team to retreat to safety. And that was actually really nice from Liquid. As soon as they knew they were going to be slowed, they knew the potential for EG to react was going to be there. So even though they were grouped up for a Centaur, they knew he would have to be coming from this angle. And, blinking to here and catching them all just really wasn't going to work. So they end up turning around on Zai, killing him off for realsies, and avoiding any kind of catastrophic counter initiation out of EG.
They're not even going to get this tier 1 tower, though, bottom. So they used the Bane ulti, they used the BKB on Luna, the 10-second one. They used the ult on Luna, all for 4 Wraith King. I don't think that was worth it in the slightest for Liquid. In the meantime, Arteezy, he pushed out mid, got a little bit of damage done to the tower in mid, and just look at the CS too. I mean, that just shows, like, that was just, I mean, yeah, you got the kill, but it just wasn't worth it. Like, you saw Bulba, he was apprehensive about trying to go on Wraith King, because he knows that they were going to have to pop the ultimate. So he was trying to look for someone else, but EG did a good job about separating themselves from Zai. So, yeah, definitely not a win in my opinion for Liquid there.
They're going to try to bait something out using Arteezy. He's going to move up around the bend and farm right in the face of that tier 1 top. He's got a whole team under cover of smoke behind him, though. Blink Dagger is up on Centaur, as we mentioned, has Stampede on the call and ready whenever he wants it. And taking a look at Mason, he also has that mech. So they've got their team fight items ready to roll. Going to be a while before Wraith King has his ultimate up again. But yeah, it looks like Liquid sniffed this out. It's like, oh, okay, Arteezy suddenly just shows up and farms in front of our tier 1. And no one else is on the map. A little bit obvious from EG. Nonetheless effective as they will get the tower.
This should have been, I mean, I feel like, okay, they knew this was happening about 30 seconds ago. There should have been more than just Forged Spirits pushing this tower mid. Oh, action.
They're in mid. Wei-Tu spotted out. In the meantime, Roshan is going down. There's going to be the Nightmare on Wei-Tu from himself trying to buy time. Roche is still not dropping that quickly. Let's see if they can get there. It doesn't look like they either don't know or don't care. It's going to end up, I don't know. They're bending right. Mason's right there, has Weave ready. Roche will drop. They may, nope, Bulba gets a nice 2-man impale. 3-man, check that. And the AA ultimate back on Mason. Mason can't even get off the grave as he's hit with the Lucid Beam and brought down. Bulba right there prevented what could have been a very bad counter initiation. Zai now the next target, blink and impaled. But the rest of Liquid not ready to follow suit. PPD could be a target. Bulba does have Vendetta. Just now got enough mana for it. Would take every bit of it, though, and is yet to spend it. Still looking for a target. Spot Zai. There's the blink away. and the Hellfire Blast disjointed. So Liquid gets the Aegis, and we can see, though, even though all signs, when you look at kills, when you look at what they're accomplishing, getting Roshan, they're just not really able to open up a lead. And I think it's owed a lot to what you were talking about. We saw them get the kill at bottom, for example, but what they're translating it to, what they're translating their movement and kills to, just isn't really as efficient as what EG's been able to get done when they're coming out on top.
Yeah, I think the Roche was big, though. Like,
yeah,
that was
sure.
really good for them, and that was a fantastic blink stun by Bulba. It was a really good triple stun from him. And who died of what? Who was it died that? That was way too that died top for that. So yeah, not a big deal. I mean, I think that was a really good bounce back for Liquid. Now they just need a couple more items up onto Luna as well. They need, like, I feel Manta would be good for him. He's gonna go for the Helm of the Dominator first. Obviously, I mean, all these big items would be good for him. They just need something else onto Luna to keep up that farm and being able to stand toe-to-toe to Arteezy, who has, let me check out net worth. I always just sit on the last hit tabs for some reason, but yeah, so Luna's a little bit under the Shadow Fiend. So, I mean, that's fine. Liquid's still actually in a good spot. I like their team makeup generally better than EG's, and we'll have to see how they just keep doing.
Yeah, I don't know that the Dazzle 1 has really worked out that well. He's got a 4-staff on the way. The Staff of Wizardry is complete. But basically Arteezy will be throwing this squad on his back for the most part in terms of damage. Centaur, like you said, blinks up, so it's not like he's irrelevant. And he will be getting a Blade Mail, it seems. He's picked up the Chain Mail as well as the Robe of the Magi. But I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell. It's Liquid right now is moving very well. They've got Bulba and TC playing excellent. They're a collective 7-1 between the two of them. Demon 1-0, and Koikva, who has honestly been unusually quiet by his standards. He's usually right at the foremost of all the big plays being made by Liquid. Even with him not executing quite on the level that he usually does, they're still in a great position. They just need to make sure they start translating these wins into tangible gains. Taking a free tier 1, certainly a nice step in that direction.
Yeah, no, that's good. They're on the forefront now. They're trying to do something, make EG make a play. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, I was like, there's two ways to build this Dazzle when you asked, and he actually went for the two items I thought, or when I mentioned one of them was the 4-staff and the mech build, or there's a hard carry, and I actually think that maybe he should have gone for the more of a core hard carry build because, action on the Mason. He does get the 4-staff away, so good for him.
Zai engaging on the Bulba. In the meantime, the tier 2 is dropping, and we can see a sentry's gone down. Bulba is hemmed in. They know right where he is. Hang on, he's got help from Demon on the high ground and able to buy time enough to blink away. Liquid does bring down the tier 2 in the meantime, so that's going to be a free couple of towers. Arteezy should get the tier 1 here. Can they catch him? Yes. Fiend's Grip plus Bulba being there with some help from Koik from across the map. And, yeah, just underestimating how many they were going to send back, try the TP away in the face, and suddenly realize, wait a minute, he has Impale. That's not going to work.
Yeah, that was a really good, way too sexy being there was really big for them. Because even if he had BKB TP'd, he could have canceled it with that grip, so definitely a big win for Liquid right there. I cannot believe Bulba was still able to get that blink out. Good support from Demon as well. And then they got the tier 2 tower bottom. EG still got the tier 2 top, but they traded SF's life for it. So good win there for Liquid. And I was mentioning with the Dazzle's items, I don't think that these are the items, especially against an AA.
Yep.
You almost want to question just to begin with Dazzle, picking Dazzle into AA. I believe what Dazzle was picked up last, right? Yeah, he was. So you got to question first that, not to mention now he's going for another healing item. So I really feel like maybe this was a game to go for more of a typical core kind of item build on.
Dazzle was actually picked up early, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say he came in second. It was actually the Crystal Maiden that was picked last. And you're right. And I'm with you. Hang on, we've got an engagement on the Mason. Mason's dead. He has not even had time to grave himself. They're going to try to reinitiate off of this. Demon could be in trouble. There's some good damage coming out from the Eclipse. Arteezy doing what damage he can. TC with his BKB up is teeing off, but still just can't stand up to the right click. Good ultimate out of PPD. Hitting everyone with this. Oh, beautiful timing on Arteezy's ult. Blows TC to pieces. And just as we're singing their praises and really kind of knocking the Dazzle. Dazzle wasn't even there for most of that. He was brought down very, very early. And I'm still with you in questioning it, but you can't just engage blindly and end up being putting yourself in that situation. Manta Style already done on Arteezy, so his survivability and his damage output's going to be excellent to begin with. And they're going to start going to work on the tier 2 mid now. And Liquid was just beginning to get things under control, but that hurts so much because you didn't just lose a fight, but you're now going to lose your tier 2 mid. Map control's now gone on the entire top half of the map for you, and you lose your Aegis for free.
EG's really good about being a team that's doesn't just take one fight as a victory. They transfer it into something else, which could be 2 towers right now, and maybe another one fight. Although BKB is on cooldown for another 13 seconds for Arteezy, but this is exactly it. They won a fight, they transferred 2 more towers on top of that. And that's not to say other teams don't do that, but I feel like EG's very good about it right now. And that was a fantastic fight by specifically Arteezy. The supports were scattered by Liquid, they were kind of spread out, but they were all so low standing around. And he had to position himself differently in 2 different raises. It was boom, Raze dead, another one, boom, Raze dead. And it was just very well done by Arteezy in particular there.
Yeah, EG just engaged it right, and there was really no way they could try to defend that tier 2 bottom. As you said, Arteezy's BKB was on cooldown. That also meant that Luna's was, and TC's magic community is really what they have to rely on. He's going to be getting his Manta style up right now. We can see he's on par with Arteezy, but still about 3k gold behind in general. So Arteezy has been farming, not quite to the legendary speed we saw in game 3 of our first series, but he has been in great shape.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It's just pretty damn good. I mean, Liquid really had this game under control before that fight. Oh, PPD Mike. No, every spell apparently was missed. Every spell was missed. The AA blast actually hit, but stun from Nyx unfortunately was a little bit off the mark.
Yeah, Bulba's. I think we can give Bulba a pass. He honestly, without Bulba, I can't imagine how ugly this game could look. And it's sad. It's unbelievable to say that whenever you look at what's happened. You say, well, like if I were to tell you, Liquid is leading at minutes 13-9. TC's well farmed. They've taken a Roshan. You would say, well, okay, they must be in pretty good shape. They're actually trailing behind in gold quite a bit. They'd cut it to 0 and made it an even game. But one big loss, and that was all she wrote. And they're even beginning to fall behind in experience, which they've led the vast majority of the game in, and had a fairly sizable lead in that regard. And as the items continue to come out now, you got to start to worry. Zai's already got up a plate mail. We'll see if that's going to turn into a Shiva's. One would imagine it would, though I guess he could end up going Assault Cuirass to try and help Arteezy out. Arteezy's going pure right-click, so that would make sense in that regard. He's picked up the Demon Edge, and we'll have a Daedalus actually ridiculously fast if that's what he's actually building into. He may end up going MKB, though, anticipating a potential Butterfly build out of TC.
Yeah. Usually when you see a Demon Edge picked up by itself, it's an MKB, because I feel like the build-up of getting the Chrysalis is better than just getting the Demon Edge.
Yep.
I don't know the stats on it, that's how I feel, but yeah, I totally lost my train of thought, so you take over.
Mason almost hit with the AA blast. Don't worry, man. What time is it in Korea for you, out of curiosity?
I'm actually back in Vancouver at the moment.
Oh, okay. Well, then you made me a fibber, man. Should have corrected me. I said we were remoting you in from Korea. Welcome home to North America, of course. But, yeah, it is going to actually be a Daedalus build out of Shadow Fiend. And that doesn't surprise me. I mean, crit for pure damage sake is usually going to be better. In terms of overall DPS, you just figure that up against whenever the vast majority of your non-magic damage is coming out of a right-clicking Shadow Fiend. Hang on, they were looking for someone and unable to find Koikva as he force-staffs his way to safety. But the Butterfly is the logical choice for TC, and looks like Arteezy's just not that worried about it.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting go right there. They kind of jumped the gun. Maybe Centaur shouldn't have ulted, because one of the only drawbacks of Centaur ulti is that you know it's coming out from their team because it makes this giant effing roar. So it gave a little time, I think, for Koikva to use that force staff over the ledge. He, by the way, has a sheep stick now on top of his bot, so that's good for him. Yeah, really that one just kind of crappy fight for Liquid. I mean, this is a very even game right now. It's very even, but if they had a better fight right there, I feel like Liquid has the better. I still feel like they have the better draft and better heroes. And they just need to be a little bit more careful and not take for granted Arteezy and the rest of the EG squad's farm.
Just to reiterate it again, I mean, we are just now getting into the heart of the mid-game. And it actually hasn't even been all that busy of a game with only 22 kills in 28 minutes. I mean, usually 1 kill a minute is kind of your average. But, hold that thought, as Bulba's going to spot the entire team moving through mid. And force staff on Universe. Blinks behind, waits, so he's got help from Bulba coming. Don't think he's going to engage it. He won't. Probably the right decision. Just would have been 2 corpses instead of 1. But Koikva, again, has really just been quiet. The guy is an unbelievable playmaker and usually the difference maker for Team Liquid in almost every game they play. And yeah, he's been there. I mean, it's not like he's invisible. He's got a decent amount of farm. He's been active here and there, but sitting at 1-1-3, that's just, I mean, he's only participated in 4 of the 13 kills Liquid has notched, and that's just usually not the case.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, nice Manta from TC. Now they're going to turn around. Arteezy is going to be hexed out, and Buddy sent back behind, and we see Universe coming in from behind, will end up sacrificing himself for the greater good. They should be able to track him down, surely. Yeah, finally, one lucent beam from distance, but gave himself away to secure the escape of the remainder of his team. Arteezy, by the way, with the Daedalus up, still has another 2,200 gold tucked away, so he continues to just get massively ahead. TC, though, sitting at 5-2, has had a very impactful game thus far. He still is trailing a bit. Now, this is a risky Roshan. Zai's going to show his face as will Arteezy. Arteezy moves in, going to work on Quakefa, and Quakefa stunned out and blown up before he can do anything. And TC's, very nice grip from the high ground. No, beautiful poison touch from Mason to disjoint that, and that's a huge loss and huge turnaround. AA Ultimate was nowhere near the mark as it shot south, and we may end up seeing the turning point of the game be right here, as they just ran into Roche, and I don't know if they forgot that Arteezy's still hitting like a train or what, but yeah, they underestimated the combat potential minus the Centaur of EG, and it cost them dearly.
I don't understand why they went for that.
Yeah,
they have a ward here. They saw them walk upwards, and then they just maybe assumed they weren't there. It was very, very silly of a decision. They also could have picked up the invis there, and maybe had someone just anyone sit up there and scout. But they just took it for granted. They were like, oh, free Roshan, we got a kill onto, I forget even who died. Oh, Centaur. And there was just no vision around. They knew that they were in the area. Very, very silly play from Liquid. I feel like they had this game in the bag, or at least a very, very good start. Good impale, double stun there from Bulma. AALT, that will shatter Arteezy.
That may have been a little early. I guess you kind of have to do it there, though. And, yep, he's going to go.
It is an Ags, but, yeah, I feel like Liquid really had this game in the bag. It's still a very good game. Still anyone's game at this point. But I feel like Liquid is kind of throwing this away. I really do. And I was going to mention, too, one of the great things about Centaur is Arteezy was 100% dead there when he got sheeped. Mm-hmm. But the Centaur ulti came out, gave him the haste movement speed as a sheep or whatever he is.
Yep. Piggy.
And, yeah, Piggy, there you go. And he was fine, so. Yep. I don't know. I feel like Liquid definitely was in the driver's seat, and they're kind of throwing this away through play. It's not a draft thing. I really feel like Liquid has the better draft. They're just kind of making some stupid plays.
I agree with you. During the draft, I liked EG's better up until we saw how they were going to lane it. And, I mean, what's the...
DBD just gets sniped out by AALT plus Sunstrike. Boom.
Didn't even see it, but that's what we were talking about, that combination. Arteezy, though, is being watched by Bulba at the moment.
This could be huge.
Waitsu's right there, and they catch him with the impale. Waitsu gets the Fiend's grip off. There's no help in range. And Arteezy's dead. Should be. Will be. Bulba eats a lot of damage, and look at the illusions, actually. We're teeing off on Waitsu the whole time, and damn near killed him. Universe and Zai were making their way in that direction, but no way to get there in time to make much of a difference. So didn't even see where PPD died in his own jungle. So, yeah, that's, and again, that's what we figured the gimmick could be, especially if they went with the pure XOR build on Quakefa. And now he does have some points in the Wix, though. But still, I'm still expecting to see more out of him. He's got his scythe up. And like I said, it's not that he hasn't had any impact. He just has not.
Oh, my God.
They do it again?
Oh, my God. They didn't even use Sunstrike, I don't think. Or maybe they did. I just saw it come up, and I saw Demon got the kill. That's got to be the most frustrating shit ever. He didn't even leave his base, I don't think.
No, he died right here. He died right here.
Imagine if they get a ward up too. Like they can literally just. No, you know what? They can keep killing him literally for the rest of the game if they want to. Look at, they're pinging it out. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose it. Sorry, I'm going to lose it if this happens. Here comes the EA ulti. Let's see if they can time this. This will be hilarious.
Here it comes. Boomskis.
Oh darn.
PPD got caught by the ulti. Arteezy's laughing about it.
Oh my God, this is so funny.
Good. Oh yeah. Little unfortunate. He still eating a lot of damage, but will be able to survive just barely. And who says pro games aren't for a little bit of trolling fun? Nonetheless, Liquid maintains the lead in terms of kills, but even as annoying as they've been to PPD, it is still EG's lead, though the experience has been cut down a little bit. Luna actually finishes an Assault Cuirass of her own, and didn't even see. Yeah, it is going to be an Assault Cuirass build on Zai as well.
Yeah, when you were mentioning the Shivas, I think Shivas actually would be good too, just so that you wouldn't get mana burned to death by Nyx Assassin, but I've seen him do this before, and I think it does help out your cores a bit more than Shivas.
Yeah.
And if you can afford it, hell yeah, go for
it. We actually see PPD's picked up a bracer now. 35-minute bracer says, yeah, I'm sick of dying in my own well. That's not too fun. Thank you very much. It's gotten very quiet across the map now, as both teams are content to just farm their way to the bigger items they feel like they need. Only the recipe now needed for Zai, and he's going to have that pretty much right this second. Universe has actually picked up an Ogre Club of his own, so might be a BKB build coming out on him. I suppose you could go something like a Halberd if you really wanted to. Bulba's opted to help out with some damage. This also works well with Shatter again, or with the Ice Blast, with the Dagon pickup. And Quakeva. 2,800 gold tucked away. Looks like EG's ready to get aggressive now that the Assault Cuirass is done. Moving into their own jungle, we can see it is fairly well warded in terms of spawning movement like this and allowing them to farm Bulba that far forward. So
this is like support farming ward. You can just constantly spot out maybe supports that are in the area. Oh, PPD knows something's up. Maybe he plays a sentry. Nope.
Mace is dead. We're seeing them chain together the AA ultimate very well. That was actually shot from a decent distance away by Demon as well. So picking off another kill, and if they could just continue to disjoint EG just by picking one off like that and buy themselves time to just continue to farm items, they're going to be in great shape. And Quakeva is happily free farming this top lane even as we speak.
Yeah. I mean, Liquid, they seem to kind of cleaned up their act a little bit. And they're playing much better, and the graph reflects that as well. It's now about even in experience, and the gold lead is starting to diminish for EG.
And Quakeva, as Zai show up, not even scared. He's got TC behind him, so why would he be? Zai spins the stun. Here comes TC and AA. Force Staff gets him back behind the tower, and it looks like they're ready to try and bring this down with alacrity, and will be able to do so, as TC is hitting very, very hard right now with that double damage rune. And this might be a time for them. No, looks like they're going to pull back. I was going to say, as hard as he's hitting, maybe they try and take a little bit of a chance. Arteezy, though, with a Lincoln Sphere up, is going to be much more survivable now. What do you think about the Lincoln's pickup here?
It's good, because when he activates the BKB, he's not going to have a Fiend's Grip come up onto him. So when he gets that BKB off, he can just have free reign for the next 8 seconds. And he's really good about preserving his BKBs, too. I've noticed that. He's not very liberal with them, so when it comes to late game, when you really need the extra 2 seconds or whatever it might be, he's going to get that, and now he's going to, like I said, have free reign, because grip will not be effective against him against that Lincoln's.
Arteezy pushing up with the whole team behind him. Looks like EG's had about enough of this long-range artillery BS and is ready to just take the fight right to their tier 3. TC's on the high ground, pops the Lincolns right off the bat. It's going to be 15 seconds till it's back up. Damage, though, even from the low ground, is quite solid. Zai doesn't care to be the one on the high ground taking it out. AA ulti comes out. And there we go. Beautiful. Caught both of them. Arteezy going to be hit with a Sunstrike as well. Nope, never mind. Stampede got him out of range. TC teeing off on him. He was hexed out by the Invoker in the meantime. And TC going to work. Mason does manage to get off the grave. And Arteezy going to ulti. Way2's in a lot of trouble. He drops Zai. Fresh back up off of his ultimate. Is there to help. And Universe follows up with a stomp that wasn't even needed. And the buyback now forced out of TC. That slows him down. They do manage to get the kill on Quakeva and force another buyback. The glyph used to try and slow this down. Looks like EG might be content to fall back. And why wouldn't they be? They're going to fall back momentarily. Looks like they're... Meh. What are you going to do, guys? You going to push it? They are. TC... BKB on 26-second cooldown. Arteezy pretty much full health again. Sunstrike not going to hit anything. AA ultimate hits nothing but illusions. Actually, that caught Zai. He's going to be hexed out, but the immediate stomp from Universe comes in. Misses the mark, doesn't matter, as they take the racks behind the fight, and now they're going to be happy to clear out. That's a huge win for them. Forcing 2 buybacks, getting a set of racks. They need to get that gem quickly, though. TC coming back out. Universe going to be hit with the Lucent Beam, slowed down, but Quakeva unable to get into range. PPD was caught by a Nightmare thrown by Way2. This should be a free one for them, and will be. But that's going to be some weak medicine as they lose their mid racks, and they have 2 buybacks on their 2 most important cores in TC and Quakeva.
Yeah, and I feel like Liquid jumped the gun there. I really do.
Agreed.
Their spells didn't really connect too much. They also like used the glyph after they all died. I feel like they could have used it first, spammed out as much as they could with all their spells, waited for EG to come back, and then maybe tried. That would buy them time for another AA ultimate. But I feel like they just kind of ran in there way too fast, and also with Zai being up in the front, I didn't see if they actually all just gunned him down, but nonetheless, he died, and the 75% movement slow was definitely played a role as well. And then he came back and way too sexy died so freaking fast, and yeah, I think EG played that really smartly as well. I mean, they have really great items. They know when they can engage and they know when they can't, and they're taking smart fights.
Zai and PPD are pinned back in their own well again, in their own fountain, as the A ultimate connected. I didn't see if the Sunstrike connected. I heard it. Looks like they both should be all right, though, and they will be. That was actually very close to a courier pick-off. I was watching it out of the corner of my eye. They have this ward down here, and it spotted the courier. They were even pinging it out right here, and it actually had most of Arteezy's butterfly on it, and Bulba was sitting right about here, and the courier flew right past him. And with that blink dagger, he was under Vendetta already. If he had been able to blink at Vendetta, that would have been pretty big deal, honestly. But now with the butterfly up on Arteezy, what possible answer do you have? You see TC opted for the Assault Cuirass, and that's all well and good. But now, I mean, he's got 2,700 gold towards an MKB, but still, that's not going to come out nearly fast enough, I don't think. And we're going to see PPD just knows he has to constantly be on the move, otherwise he's going to be shot down from long range.
Hard life for supports this game for sure, at least for him. Hell, I think they could probably... Could they even... Yeah, I think they could even do it to Wraith King, because he has just armor, not HP. It'd be close. It'd be fun to watch, though. But, yeah, Arteezy, he's just... What is he? Yeah, he's 6-slotted. Only thing you can do now is rebuy a BKB, but again, he's been really great about these charges and still has 7 seconds on his current one. Roche does respawn here pretty soon. I'm still not going to figure this. What, like a minute and 10 seconds or something? Am I right? Oh, Mason dies!
Bulba caught him.
Yep.
That's a level 2 Dagon. I was watching the Roche pit to see if they were going to engage, as EG was just standing around. Roche isn't up yet, but he will be in mere seconds, and it looks like because of Demon, they're going to be the first team to know it. And Arteezy's the one charging right down mid, though. Roche about to respawn. Yep, he's up now. And the rest of Liquid has to return from the enemy jungle. Arteezy has his Lincoln's pop. There's going to be a buyback from Mason as he wants to get in the fight as quickly as possible. Has a sheep stick up of his own. We haven't even really talked about that. It's an extra bit of lockdown that they're going to need. And I'm really not liking Liquid's chances here. I feel like TC's item choices, while necessary and understandable, I mean, when you have Arteezy this big now with the butterfly, I just don't know how they account for him. I don't know how you can kill him.
Yeah, I don't either, especially with... Watch Zai. Oh, Invoker gets a kill on the Mason again. But there's no... yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's like... I don't think it matters at all. Like, it's fun to do that, and they're doing what they can to try and destroy this, but we saw how quickly they were able to bring that down. There's going to be the Stampede behind the fight. There's the Tornado coming out. Universe looking to move forward. Arteezy just taking no damage from anything. BKB up on Universe. Tried to get the stomp off. Nope, never mind. There was a double edge. And using that Blade Mail now to try and return some of that damage. But even without Mason, I mean, the AA ultimate was basically on cooldown for that siege because they shot it at Mason. So I was going to turn and stun Bulba. Now Arteezy ready to go to work. Bulba eating a lot of damage, has to go under cover of Vendetta. They can't touch Arteezy. They literally cannot touch him. Behind the fight, we see Koifa gets himself a kill. The gem's on the ground, but it doesn't matter. He gave himself up for it. Arteezy has his Lincoln's popped. He manages the Manta. And now going to work on TC. Able to bring him down, no problem. And still has half health. 3-shotted. Could have 3-shotted the Ancient Apparition. That's going to be GG, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's buyback on Luna. I'm so lazy with my tab hotkeys. I have to click everything, but... Yeah, I'm sure if you asked Mason what his thoughts were when that happened too, I'm sure he's like, lol, worth it, idiots.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'd be thinking. But, I mean, you get kills where you can, right? I mean,
right.
You can't blame them.
Well, when they're sitting, when you knew they were coming, they're sitting outside your tier 3s.
Exactly.
That's not the time, I don't think. I mean, you know, hard to crawl inside the mind of a pro because everyone knows my sin. No one knows it more than me. I'm far from one. But just seemed like a questionable decision. And GG will be called as Fiend's grip on the Zai. Irrelevant. Liquid finishes the game much as they played it with a kill lead. But by the end, the gold immensely in favor of Evil Geniuses. Talking just about 10,000. Was a longer game than we've seen all day at 43 minutes. But it was one of those weird games, don't you think, where you watched it and Liquid, you were like, okay, Liquid's got the lead. I think. Like, that's just how it felt all game, where it was hard to pin down exactly what it was other than the kills they got were valuable in and of their own right, but what did you do with it? And by the end, EG's lineup, as questionable as it was, 4 and 6 Dazzle, level 20 by the end, went support items and did what he could, but even he wasn't that effective. This game felt like it was won basically on the back of Shadow Fiend and PPD and Universe.
Well, yeah, I think the Universe's ulti from Centaur played a friggin' huge role in this game. I mean, I saw specifically one instance where Shadow Fiend 100% was dead without the Centaur ulti. And also, I think the unsung hero too is Zai playing the Wraith King. His positioning in these fights, not to mention the auras he gave off with the lifesteal and the AC aura, were, they pay dividends. And not to mention, he's standing up in front. He wants them to kill him because when he dies, he gives off that massive 75% slow, and I believe it does actually attack speed slow as well.
Yeah.
In fact, I was brainstorming with a couple of friends thinking, you know what? It'd actually be kind of funny to watch him get like a Blink Bloodstone, just blink, kill himself, and slow everybody. Wouldn't that be hilarious? It's totally a Zai thing to do, by the way.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. That's what makes Dota Dota, man. The fact that you would even think about that in even a serious context. But a 43-minute game, just about 43 and a half. Standout performers, obviously Arteezy once again taking the lead there. Finished with 414 CS, 817 GPM by the time all was said and done. 7 and 3 for him. It was kind of mediocre across the board for the rest of EG. Again, they finished the game trailing in kills, and they trailed in kills pretty much the entire game. It just didn't matter. They were so much more efficient. On the side of Liquid, Bulba, obviously, the big, bright, shining point for that. It was a good game from Demon as well. He finished at 5 and 2. And, getting kills again with the ulti, you want to do that where you can, when you can, and it's funny and all that, but I definitely think, I'm not going to say it cost him the game because it was beginning to look like it was out of reach to begin with, but that last one, hooking up with Koikva certainly hurt them. And Koikva's really the one, like, when I look at his impact on this game, again, 4, 4, and 8, involved in only 12, involved in less than half of Liquid's kills. And you compare that even to TC, who spent a lot of time farming, was involved in 15. 10 for Demon, he wasn't really involved, but then you look at Bulba, and he was involved in 16 of the 22, or 23 rather. And just not what I'm accustomed to seeing out of Koikva. Usually used to seeing him be much more high impact, but whether it was a bad day for him or a good day for EG, just not the case. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers. That's 3 games in a row now EG's managed to win, and they're going to look to make it 4 and see if they can close out this series and improve to 3-0 and the overall standings in D2L Western Challenge. Liquid, though, well, they're in danger of falling 0-3 if they can't turn it around. So they got a lot to play for coming up to Game 2. We'll see if we can make it 2 best-of-3s to go the distance. Once again, I'm AC. That's Tralf Dota. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at AC, at AYESEE. You can find him at Tralf Dota, TRALFDOTA. Stick with us. For some reason, my brain just decided it was time to not function. Stick with us. We'll be right back if my brain manages to keep it together.